continue on with the other trade that got overshadowed. Kyrie Irving's press conference. Kyrie joins Luka in Dallas. A big time trade. Mavs get Kyrie Irving, Markieff Morris. Nets send out Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first round pick, and 2 second round picks to the Brooklyn Nets. And I'm like, damn. Like Spencer Dinwiddie goes back to Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Like he just left. I thought he was still a valuable piece with Dallas, and I feel like that was a piece that they wanted to just have his contract on the books and stuff like that to make that happen. But to get a caliber play like that and get Dorian Finney-Smith, it's like for Kyrie Irving, I thought that was more than what they expected. Like especially at that point when like how much were they going to get from Kyrie Irving and stuff like that, and not to take on Russell Westbrook's contract for Brooklyn. I feel like they came up in this, but also Kyrie Irving, most importantly, joining Luka, adding to that offense that desperately needed something, especially after the loss of Jalen Brunson. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I think that it was definitely a gamble, high risk, but it was a gamble that the Mavs had to take. I feel like they couldn't afford to treat Luka like they did Dirk post the 2011 championship and not surround him with the legit co-star. The guy, we see what this guy is doing. He's transcendent, one of the best players in the league, top 5, top 7 right now. He's young, and now we live in the age of player empowerment. And there's a chance that Luka could have got frustrated that he could have demanded a trade. So when you got a player of Kyrie's caliber, while there's baggage that comes along with that, you can't pass that up. I think that's right. Because now it relieves so much of a burden for Luka where he can just rest on offense some spots during the game and let Kyrie do his thing, kind of similar to what Kyrie and LeBron were doing back in Cleveland when they were on their championship run. I think that they can mimic that relatively well.
Yeah, especially when you think about what they lost with Jalen Brunson. Kyrie Irving's just a better offensive player. He's not a better defensive player than Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson was able to hold his own at this position. Kyrie Irving is going to be a question mark, and especially as being one of the best defensive teams in the league. To now lose that defensive intensity to have somebody that adds to the offensive end, it's a positive on that end. But what happens on the defensive end, especially losing Dorian Finney-Smith, you lose another ball handler in terms of Spencer Dinwiddie, but you add 30 points per game. You add one of the best creators in basketball. He's able to get 30 and 5. So it's a double-edged sword, right? Like you lose a little bit, you gain something here. But with Kyrie Irving's impact, I think that's going to be a good thing for the Mavs, especially in that offense, being able to create a little bit like Jalen Brunson did, but also able to just get his own bucket. You need somebody else to get their own buckets consistently in Dallas, especially looking like Spencer Dinwiddie was not going to be that second scorer for you guys. He wasn't. So to get that upgrade over the Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson, you might lose a little bit of defense, but we know the impact of Kyrie Irving, especially when he has his head on straight. We saw him the first half of the season in Brooklyn when he had his head on straight, when everything was going smooth. He's able to produce, be an all-star level player. So to add that to Dallas, I think that's a win for them. And as you said earlier, that was a real risky move. And especially Mark Cuban, that was my whole hesitance on that trade happening. Like Kyrie Irving's not usually his type of player, right? Like he's not going to, especially somebody so rebellion, somebody that is as strong-will minded as Kyrie Irving is, and as many problems. It's like, do you want to bring that into your organization? And for him to actually do that and pull the trigger on that, kudos to Dallas, because it's a move that, as you said, was necessary.
Yeah, man. I mean, you just hope that. I mean, you saw what Kyrie did last night against the Clippers and the show he put on. You hope that he could be a quote unquote model citizen during his time there, as he is looking to get paid, looking to get a 3 to 4 year extension. So it would be in his best interest to do that. But then again, we have history with Kyrie where he does certain things that may rub people the wrong way. So if you're a Mavs fan, you're praying, just please, Kyrie, please just be in your best behavior. And if he does, I think that this team, while they're going to be atrocious on defense, that offense, I mean, I think that they're already, the best backcourt in the league without been playing together, Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah.
This offense is just too prolific.
Yeah, like especially those guys able to create with the basketball and be able to score at will, basically, in this NBA and be able to get to the basket. Both of these guys get to the basket. They get to the line. They're able to shoot. To have versatility in the backcourt, and especially with Jason Kidd there. Jason Kidd, I got to give him props between all of this. Like Jason Kidd has been able to steer that ship. I don't know how he's done it in Dallas. Of course, Luka is phenomenal on the offensive end, but to get that team to be that good defensively, and I'm looking there, I'm like, how is he doing this on the defensive end? I don't understand it. I still haven't figured it out. I'm like, I don't know. I know the pace of play has to do with it. They're one of the slowest teams in the league, but kudos to him, and I'm impressed by what Dallas has did, and especially to add Kyrie Irving and be like, we're going to give ourselves a chance here. We know we're not going to be better than Denver. We're not going to be better than, especially right now, Phoenix or whatever. But we give ourselves a puncher's chance at forming some type of identities, forming some type of direction of where we go. At least we have building blocks to build off of rather than just Luka. We now have Kyrie Irving and Luka. We can actually build our team around them and figure out what direction we want to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think that this team can they possibly make it to the conference finals? I would give them a chance if that Phoenix deal didn't go through with KD. But probably second round. I guess they didn't go into the second round at least.
Yeah, definitely second round. I think, and especially with Luka, he got to the Western Conference Finals. Whatever we think of, whatever the meltdowns of other teams are, whatever he got to the Western Conference Finals. We've seen crazier things happen where guys get hot in the playoffs. Now you got two guys that can get hot in the playoffs, and that's going to be difficult to guard. That's going to be difficult to slow down. And I think what's different is the identity of the Dallas Mavericks. They actually do play defense. So it's different in Brooklyn. It's different than what we saw in Houston, where teams break down that are great offensively when they have two offensive stars that can get things done. To have that defensive identity on that end, I think that gives them a puncher's chance. I think they're still going to be a little weak. But again, they still have some direction to go. But yeah, man, to see the domino effect of Kyrie Irving leaving Brooklyn, Kevin Durant leaving Brooklyn, and now Brooklyn's just stuck with all these picks, a bunch of small forwards, a bunch of 3-and-D guys. It's like,
yeah. Oh, and they're still stuck with Ben Simmons, and there's no way that contract is gonna be moved. Well, I think he has 2 years, $80 million left in his deal.
Yeah. Like they just have to eat that, right? Like, especially, I was talking to somebody. I'm like, especially they gave all the picks to Houston in that James Harden trade, so they had to replenish it some way. So they did get a whole bunch of picks from this. Both those transactions, they got a bunch of first round picks. Most likely going to be out of the lottery, right? Like they're not going to get any lottery picks, but at least they have some assets and cap space now going forward that they can build off of and try to figure out. And maybe that's a way they get off of Ben Simmons. Hey, take Ben Simmons and take these picks. Like, get him out of here. Like that position that they actually have and some leverage that they can actually have to move on from Ben Simmons, actually start a rebuild. They have Mikal Bridges. They have Cam Johnson. They have some nice pieces there. They had Dorian Finney-Smith. Yeah, so there's something there. They got Royce O'Neal. It's not, of course, we're not thinking that they're going to be top. They're going to be flirting with that. That's going to be the realization of that team, right? But to just go from 3 All-Stars, to go from Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, future Hall of Famers, to just have Ben Simmons, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, I'm like, I've never seen a downward spiral like that probably since I want to say Orlando Magic, like when they lost Shaq, like I've never seen something this
lost
bad.
Shaq, Penny got injured, and it was
like just to see that downward spiral, like I can't remember anything like that, to see it like that, and it's like, damn.
But I feel like that was like more with the Nets. It was more self-inflicted. Right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we live in this play empowerment era, but at some point, you gotta just all right, we need balance here, and then it just went downhill from there. They basically capitulated to everything that they wanted.
Yeah, but they had balance there for a little bit. Like Jacques Vaughn came in, everything was right in the ship. They were winning games. All of a sudden, Kevin Durant goes down, and hell breaks loose.
And then Kyrie wants that money, and they, gave him a crazy contract. I believe they were saying that for the money to be guaranteed in the third year, they had to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
I know that turned. I'm pretty sure that turned Kyrie in his camp off. So
no, they were saying, I believe his stepmom his agent.
Is it?
They were saying,
I think so.
I think so, but they were saying that she was like, "Oh, the ball is in the Nets court," And to put that stipulation in there, it was like, oh, he's good. Once I heard that, I was like, oh, he's gone. Like, you're not going to guarantee whatever we say about Kyrie Irving. He's an all-star player, high talented player, one of the best scorers in the league. To sit there and say that to a player, I've never heard anything like that. I've never.
Me neither.
I've heard of incentives like, hey, if we win a championship, you get a bonus. But to sit there and be like, hey, the only way you get your third year is if we win a championship, like, I've never heard anything like that in sports. Never.
Which is why I'm not really mad at Kyrie for taking the position he did and requesting the trade.
I think there's a little bit of understanding on both sides, right? Like, we understand, hey, yo, you're not going to pay me. Why would I want to stay here? Why would I want to be here on Kyrie Irving's part? On Brooklyn's side, it's like, why should we give you this money? You have not been here. Like, you've played, what, less than 50% of the games? Why are we going to make this investment? I understand it from both sides, and I think this is one of the conundrums in the NBA right now, understanding it from both the player side and the business sides of the teams here. But yeah, it's just crazy to think about how Brooklyn has just fell from grace. Like, they've been the finals favorite for the past couple of years. Like, people, the media, especially on TV, oh, Brooklyn's going to the finals. Oh, we're picking Brooklyn. You can't pick against Brooklyn. They added Ben Simmons. And then to just see it fall flat, it's just like, wow, it's finally over. That 4 year.
But to provide context, I mean, there were some things that happened along the way, injuries, New York City mandate when it comes to the vaccine. But still, I mean, when you have all that talent to at one point have KD, Kyrie, and James Harden in the same team and not have a championship to show for it, it's kind of just it's a little alarming, kind of shocking.
Yeah, I mean, to just think about that franchise that needed to build, like, this is two powerhouses that they filled. We saw the earlier inception of the Brooklyn Nets, where they had Darren Williams and Joe Johnson, Brook Lopez, KG, and Paul Pierce, and everyone was like, "Oh, they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, they can get to the finals," and to not do that, and then to flip around and have this again and turn around. And
I didn't think that, only because KG and Paul Pierce were way over the hill at that point.
Yeah.
But I remember people saying that.
Yeah, but it's just like Darren Williams and Joe Johnson, it's like, hey, these guys can carry this offense, do that, and just to see that fall flat and then just hold on to Brook Lopez, and then Brook Lopez leaves, to see this team rebuild, and then everybody's like, oh, they're the new team in New York, and they didn't build anything. They didn't accomplish anything. I think they had one playoff series win. It's like, damn, man.
Damn. Hey, question. Do you think it's inevitable that we'll get a 30 for 30? Brooklyn Nets fall from grace? Nah, real talk.
We should not. We should not. Like, that usually happens. That usually happens to teams that get close and then don't win, right? Like, I would expect one about the Sacramento Kings, the 2016 Thunder. One of those teams should get one. Teams that got close and didn't win in the fall from grace. But this team is just like, they never really got started out the blocks. Like, they never had a good playoff run. Kevin Durant had his awesome playoff run where he was going up against the Bucks basically 1-on-5. That's it. Like, that's the splash of basketball that Brooklyn Nets have endured. Like, that's all you guys got. You got great performances from Kevin Durant on a nightly basis, and it didn't result in even the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, nothing.